everyone. We are here today in Dallas, Texas for Mahabara Kudusan American Center 26th General Assembly. Today we have two special guests. They'll tell us a little bit about themselves, their service, and their involvement with the General Assembly. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
My name is Jerusalem Asafa, but everyone calls me Jerry. I serve here at Debre Birhan Qiddiss Selassie. I serve in the Sanbat Timirti Beit as an executive leader for the kids department. I also serve as assistant accountability for OTYD, as well as in the community. I work with the young Ethiopian American ambassadors that work to kind of merge the culture between the youth that are born here as well as back home. And I work in the corporate world in sales.
Hello everyone, my name is Diakon Yohannes. I'm a servant here, a deacon at the Ethiopian Orthodox Debre Birhan Qiddiss Selassie Church here in Dallas. I serve as a deacon and a Sunday school teacher, as well as a summer school teacher as well. I just recently graduated from the University of North Texas, and I'm ready to work in the corporate world.
So we're going to go straight to the questions. How did you start serving your service in general?
Very good question. For me, actually, my service started with my sister, my older sister, of course, Jerry. Having a role model that I had growing up, of course, being born in Ethiopia but coming here at a young age, I didn't really understand the importance of church at a young age, but having an older sister and a role model helped me to find the love and connection that I have with God now at a younger age, and that's all thanks to her, of course. And so that's really where it started.
I'll make sure to give you the money later to thank you. So I think for me, I started serving, I want to say like at age 14 or 16, between that age. We had just started our new church back in 2012, and there was no one to teach the kids, and I kind of just got thrown in there and said, just babysit the kids. That's how it started, and I was like, okay, well, I think I can do that. I babysat my little brothers for years, so got thrown in there, and from then on, it just kind of continued to grow, and our church just continued to grow, and so teaching the kids, serving, in that sense was really how it started for me.
Thank you for sharing that, both of you. So you shared in what capacity you served in your introduction. So what about the challenges? And maybe if you can also talk a little bit more about your experience within your service in terms of your responsibilities.
Being a deacon, especially here in America, and in the modern age that we're in, where there's a lot of social media and there's a lot of posting things and having people see all these different things or mistakes that you might make, it's a lot of responsibility on how you present yourself and how you speak, not only at church but outside of church as well. People notice everything, and that's something you kind of get very quickly when you become a deacon, especially. If you get a haircut, they notice it. The way you dress, they notice it. Your clothes, how you talk, how you walk, the way you respond to things, everything they notice. So just making sure you're always presenting yourself in the best way and becoming a good role model is probably the hardest thing, because as humans, we all make mistakes, right? But as deacons, it's like when you make a mistake, it's like it feels like it's times 2 or times 3. They count it more because the younger ones, at least the boys, they want to become like you. They want to become deacons like you. And so when they see you make a mistake, they think it's a normal thing. But it's not, right? It's something that happened maybe out of anger or an emotion of some sort. And so those are really the biggest responsibility that you have as a deacon, is how you present yourself outside of church as well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that as well. I think how you carry yourself is a huge part of your service, which a lot of people might not talk about as much. I think for me, I serve in a lot of different places, both within the church as well as outside of the church. That comes with a lot of challenges with trying to balance my life, trying to balance, the corporate world and my career, as well as trying to continue to grow in service. So there's a lot of discipline you have to have. I'm learning now in my adult age to say no. That's a big problem, I would say, within our community. A lot of people know I struggle with that. I think Abishaz, and I have to admit to it, like our community, once they find someone that can serve, or like, you are obedient and you listen, that's it. Like, we just like to just use them, or, just really try to maximize the ability for them to serve, which is a blessing, but that can also hinder our ability for others to step up and serve. So now I'm learning, as I'm getting, more of the leadership roles, to give opportunities to the younger servants, or, like my brother, he's younger than me. I've given him an opportunity to lead discussions this weekend, which, I mean, he's probably more, great at leading discussions than I am, or there's just giving him the ability to have different opportunities. So that's what I'm really learning, is to balance that in my leadership roles now, and kind of figuring out a way to just maneuver through that as well. My next phase of service.
That's actually a great segue into what would have been my next question, is how do you balance your responsibilities? Another thing that, I see happen is people get so much involved in the service, and then the spiritual aspect of it kind of gets put to the back burner. So how do you make sure that you stay true to your, you stay intact? Whether that's your prayer life or, anything to help you with your spirituality. Like, how do you make sure that that's still intact, and just balancing it all in general?
For me personally, I'm still working on this a lot. Like, I'm really bad at this, is what I realized. When I became a deacon 3 years ago at the age of 20. Unlike most of the kids here in Dallas, they all became deacons at 8, 9, 11 years old, very young age. And so at 20 years old, I was playing a lot of catch up, is what it felt like. A lot of Udase Mariam and Tzalot, and I need to learn everything, and then Qadase, and now all the kids are doing Mahale Agalgalot, and so now I'm just trying to learn that and catch up to them, right? And so I think the thing that really helped me to get over all of that and just to focus on, or try to figure out what my service is my confession father, Komos Abba Mikhail of Devra Minette Church here in Dallas. He's really helped me to give me advice on trying to find out what I like to do in terms of service, whether it's give advice, talk to kids, whether it's teach or do qaddas or whatever. He's really been helping me through my personality and what I like to do, and trying to figure out what my agaglot will be. And I think he's really helped me to balance, right? Whether that's out of school, in school, church, which way I want to serve, which way is going to help the church the most, or what the church needs, right? That's how I balance it, right? Based off what the church needs at that time.
Yeah, I think our confession fathers are a huge part of our life. My confession father is an anchor to my life, like truly. Sometimes it might not even just be, their advice that I need. It's really just to feel like, okay, as a church father, this is how I feel. This is, me expressing it really does help create some type of balance in service. But like Johannes said, it is hard. It really is hard. And the more you get closer to the church and serving, you get tested in many different ways, and figuring out that balance of service as well as your personal spiritual life is the hardest part. I oftentimes, because of Agalgulot, I'll miss my personal prayers, or maybe there's some things that I need to personally work on, but because I'm serving to others, that I neglect those things. So right now in this phase of, in my mid to late 20s, I'm realizing that I have to step back from some of those things and work on, what do I want to do? What do I want to focus on in my spiritual life? As well as, how do I show up for others? I think when we talk about service, we talk about, serving the church, serving in our community and the people around us, but even our family, how do we show up for them? I've been having a lot of tough conversations with the people around me and saying, okay, because of my service, maybe I'm not spending time with my family. Maybe I'm not giving them what they need, in a sense. So having to have those conversations and kind of just bringing light to that is helping me figure out, okay, maybe I got to figure out, where do I find that balance? And I don't know if there is a balance. I think there's just a harmony where in this season of life, I have to focus on this, but still manage to have a harmony between every part of my service. So that's where I'm at right now, I would say.
Yeah, and it's a great point that you both mentioned having your spiritual father be with you along the way, because in this world, we have different areas in our life where we have different people. So I think in our spiritual life, it's very important to not to have that as well. It's not something that we could do on our own. We need our spiritual father to pray for us, to help us along the way. So that's definitely a great point. I want to hear about your OTYD service. And recently you brought Diakon Henok to your one of the events. Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I believe this is a great way to bridge the gap between the Amharic service and the English service. So I'm sure a lot of people are curious to know your experience with that, and either one of you can start.
About Diakon Henok Haile, I don't have much to say other than the fact that when you are in the presence or when you have the ability to use such a valuable resource, which is a memir, somebody who is so fascinated by something, they devote their whole lives to it, it would be such a waste of an opportunity not to use them. And so, whether or not they were able to speak English or not, or we were able to get creative and have one of our own servants translate what they were saying, like right then and there during an interview of some sort, when you're given that resource, you have to do whatever you can to use it. During that time personally, I was dealing with other services that I needed to deal with for my own church and stuff like that. So I wasn't very involved when Diakon Henok Haile was here, but my sister was. So maybe she could shed a little bit more insight about how we were better able to use him.
Yeah, I think you just set it up perfectly with, utilizing Diakon Henok. He was there. He was asked to be there for a church service to teach for about a month. Most of the OTYD members who speak Amaringa or understood Amaringa attended that course. And every time class ended, the class would be about an hour and a half to 2 hour. It was a fast course class. We would ask him questions. We would ask him 1,000 questions. And then he would explain things. Sometimes we'd be like, man, we really don't understand Amaringa, like to that extent of like his explanation. But he was so willing to sit there, walk through it with us and really help us understand it. And with that, the leaders of OTYD or, the members of OTYD, the servants, really took the opportunity to ask him to attend our Friday Bible study, to do a Q&A. And we pulled that together relatively quickly. He was there for a short amount of time. And it was such a blessing to have even our audience, the youth that came out, were both English speaking as well as Amaringa only, speaking audience that we had, or, servants that came to listen. And we were able to merge the two worlds. He was able to teach Bamaringa Besnesrat, and then we had our brother Diakon Robil, who was able to translate it on the spot, which is extremely difficult to do, as you know. And it was such a blessing. But what people don't get to see is the conversations behind the camera. We invited him to come to one of our houses. We call it the OTYD house. And we were there till almost 2, 3 a.m. of all servants, maybe 15, 20 of us, asking him consistent questions. What is the struggle that you dealt with service? How did you overcome it? What is the youth struggling with back home? This is what we're struggling with. What can you advise us? And really, as our big brother, he was so, able to lend us these tools. A lot of people know his library is like iconic. He's a walking dictionary, walking library. He was able to recommend spiritual books, worldly books, and just connect that gap that we have. And so, like, my brother said, we were able to jump on the opportunity to have him join us. And God willing, he'll be back again to possibly teach a course with us as well in the future.
When you really think about it, it's not just the resources we have outside of the United States. Here in the United States, just locally in our own churches, we don't even realize the resources or the people who serve. Sometimes we get lost in serving ourselves, that we forget to serve or we forget to be served as well. That's something I really commend OTYD in doing, is that they always bring church fathers, whether it's from different states or just in our own churches, parishes, English speaking or not, they're always supportive. Is the church fathers here at Deborah Brahan, in Dallas, overall, is they're very they promote the English service a lot, especially for the youth. And so having their guidance, their support is something that has really made OTYD grow like immensely. And so not just the resources outside of where you live, but just locally as well. There's so much that we don't know.
So your service, it seems like, didn't just happen out of nowhere. I'm sure you had people that are, alongside of you, guiding you or helping you. Earlier you mentioned spiritual fathers. So what were some of the steps that you took to kind of have that, have the help or have the guidance? Like, what is the secret to your success? Like, what's the success to the service that you provide to the youth?
It is a tough one, but it's pretty simple. I mean, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just people in Dallas, but here in Dallas, we're very curious and we like to ask a lot of questions. We want to know things, and that curiosity, we don't keep it to ourselves. The relationships that we have, everybody from different churches, the relationships that they have with their spiritual fathers or even just the mothers or elders of the church, they ask questions. And I don't know, maybe just here in Dallas, that's just something that we do very often. But every time we have a question, if we're close to some kahin or somebody who has some sort of kinet, we're not afraid to ask. We'll call them whenever we're off work. We'll call them on our way to church or something, and we'll get our question asked. And if they don't know the answer, then they're so helpful that they'll ask somebody else. And so that really is a secret. It comes from within. It comes from how much you're wanting to grow or how much you want to change. That's really what the secret is. That and just prayer, just praying, asking for guidance, not always talking, but just listening as well is something that we do very well here in Dallas, especially OTYD. We have a lot of mesmer nights where we sometimes we don't need to learn something. Sometimes we just need to be together, become a community, sing together, praise together, and things like that.
Yeah, I think there really is no secret. There's no recipe to follow with service. But the biggest thing that Johannes mentioned is the prayer. I know for me, there's so many situations that I enter and I truly do just pray and ask God to guide me through it. And sometimes I don't know what's happening or I don't know what's going to happen. Truly, like, I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I just pray that God has like an innocent heart that he sees in me, like, just, let the outcome be what you deem. Let your will like be done. And so I think that's the mindset that I have with anything I approach. Even, whatever it is, I can have a spreadsheet of everything lined up, but at the end of the day, there's so many different challenges that you cannot plan for. There's so many different outcomes that truly it could happen. So I just pray. I just truly just pray and give it to him. But I've done this. I'm going to give the rest to you. Just finish it. And so with that, like, even in our summer school, even in our church, I've taught for many years, but it got to the point where, my kids were asking questions that is beyond my knowledge. And it takes true humility to say that and say, okay, these are things that, okay, I got you this far. The next is, I need to learn with you too. Our deacons, our kids became deacons. They got ordained. And it's all the work that we put in. But it got to a point where I had to truly just pray for someone to come and be able to teach them. And God fulfilled our dreams, fulfilled our prayers. We were able to get more servants to come. Our church was able to bring someone like, Deacon Gorgorios, who was able to take their knowledge that they were at and just grow it even more. Yanita, likatababt. And we've just been so blessed. And that the secret is just praying and having that innocent heart with pure intentions.
Yeah, that's definitely wonderful because sometimes we think, even just in our personal lives, just if we do the hard work, if we do this, that things will work out for us or will be perfect. But really, it's up to like Begzabir Fakad, God willing, like mi balo nagar. That the saying God willing, like that's definitely what we need to think about. And then like obviously like part of that is prayer. We have to understand like things are not just done because we worked hard. It's because God let it happen. Like is the secret sauce. So thank you for both for sharing that. So we are here today at the MK Maharakatusan American Center 26th General Assembly, and not only are you both, involved in your Sunday school and various the religious organization, you're both here at the event teaching the kids. You're with the diakons, and you're with the kids as well. So share your experience with that, from the preparation to just any takeaways that you have.
It's been a very, very fun weekend. I was tasked with leading multiple discussions. One of them, of course, were with the deacons who all came from different various states. And I really want to say that I think the church is really in a good place. Like, of course, the church could always be better. It could always use more servants and stuff like that. But these deacons I spoke to, they're so much smarter, so much more wiser than when I was their age. They care so much, and they understand their responsibility. They don't want to let the Meminon down. They don't want to let their teachers, their members down. And that's something I really appreciated listening, getting from their perspective this weekend. It's been great. I honestly, when I was told about this 26th Assembly, at first I didn't think much of it. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be very nice to see and be a part of. I didn't think that I would have a very big role or be a part of it as much, but to be here and to speak to kids and to talk to them, having English liturgy and being involved in that as well, of course, as a deacon, it was all just very beautiful. And it just shows like the commitment that the parents have towards our service and their promotion towards it as well. It's very beautiful, honestly.
Yes, it really is. This weekend was a very busy weekend. There was so much going on this side of the building, or this side of the church, I would say. I know that the parents, it's so interesting. As soon as you step away, you'll see the parents are so quiet and it's so attentive, and then you'll see this side, and everything is so efficient. The kids are in class, but we're making it all work. We're going through a strict schedule, and it is so many moving parts happening, but it's been so fulfilling. The kids have had so much fun meeting people from different states, some of them reuniting with each other. I've had the privilege to work with some people that I've never even met that are in Dallas, some youth that are from different states. And it's been an incredible, incredible weekend. Preparing for it was a lot of work, but I truly credit the Mahabar Kadusan team from all various states and cities that have lent a hand in a very detail-oriented spreadsheet. I wish I could show you guys this spreadsheet, okay? It is down to the T of what we're doing, and they helped us carve that, the lessons, because we're so blessed with so many servants that can teach kabaro bitiyu, like masinko, anything we can think of, Bible study, activities. They came in and just had multiple different activities. The kids were so, they needed a break from us, okay? We weren't the ones tired. The kids were so much information, and that's a true blessing to have. So preparing for it was a lot of work, but we had great leaders. We had great, team members, coordinators that I worked alongside that were able to pull this all together. Even, I was out of the country for a little bit. They were able to step in and really just continue to lead. And then we have people like my brother, the deacons, the other servants from other churches here who came together. We had deacons that were serving lunch service. I've never seen them serve like that. They were having more fun than us, and it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful, and I hope we got to capture that on camera to see just the unity amongst all the youth. And that's something that it took me back to when we used to travel to different cities and states for conferences, and it's just everybody coming together, getting to meet, or singing mazmur at random times. You give the kids a break. They were in here singing kabaro yamatu mazmur yazammaru. It's so beautiful, and it was a blessing to be a part of it. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you both for joining us today. May God continue to bless your service. Thank you.